I chose to step away from my marriage for a while, but my spouse discovered my plan. The scent of scorched coffee still lingers in my memory from the morning I stumbled upon her diary. It wasn't meant to unfold like that. I wasn't prying, not initially. Emma had left her journal open on the kitchen table, her precise handwriting spilling across the page like a secret begging to be uncovered. 2 weeks until I move in with Ryan. I need to figure out if Michael is truly my forever, or if I've been squandering my prime years. My fingers stiffened around my coffee mug's handle. The steam clouded my glasses, but it wasn't the warmth that stung my chest. It was her words. They etched themselves into my thoughts, replaying endlessly. Ryan, another man, a pause in our marriage. My wife of 7 years was preparing to share a home with someone else. Not because I'd been unfaithful, not because I'd caused her pain, but because she wanted to evaluate our bond like it was a lab test. I didn't face her immediately. I couldn't. I just gazed at that page until the coffee turned cold. That night, she returned home acting as if everything was normal. Her hair was wet from the drizzle, her lips curving into the familiar gentle smile that once felt like my safe haven. "Rough day?" she asked, dropping her purse. I managed a weak grin. "You could say that." She brushed a kiss on my cheek and walked by, humming softly, oblivious to the fact that I now knew her secret. The days that followed were torture. I noticed her packing small items, claiming they were for work. Extra outfits, toiletries, a new set of lingerie I'd never seen her wear for me. Each night, I lay awake next to her, listening to the even cadence of her breathing, wondering how long she'd been plotting this deception while whispering she loved me. On the 5th night, I mustered the courage to ask, "Emma, are you content with me?" She flinched, startled. "What? Of course I am. Why would you even ask?" "No reason," I lied. But her eyes flicked away too fast. A week later, over dinner, she dropped the news. "I think we need some distance," she said, her fork swirling patterns in her pasta. "I feel like I've lost who I am in this marriage. I need to rediscover myself." "By living with Ryan?" I asked softly. Her fork clanged against the plate, her face paling. "How did you?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam my hand on the table. I just stared at her, truly seeing her, not as my wife, but as a stranger in her likeness. "You left your journal out," I said. The silence that followed was suffocating. Finally, she murmured, "Michael, it's not what you think. I just need to be sure we're meant to be. Ryan is just someone I can confide in." I scoffed. "You were going to live with him." Tears pooled in her eyes. "Just temporarily. I wasn't going to be intimate with him." I let out a sharp, hollow laugh. "Do you hear yourself? You were ready to toss our vows aside for a test drive with another man, and you expect me to believe this is about finding yourself?" That night, she slept in the spare room. I stayed up until dawn, staring at our wedding picture, her in delicate white lace, me in a suit that felt too large for the young man I was. I'd built my entire world around her. Every goal, every sacrifice, every late night at the office was for our shared future. And now she was discarding it like worn-out shoes. But I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I planned. The next day, I visited the bank. Our accounts were intertwined. Savings, investments, everything knotted together like a trap. I separated my share, quietly and legally. I contacted a lawyer. 2 days later, I changed the locks on the cabin we'd purchased for our anniversaries. A week later, I moved most of my belongings to my brother's place. All the while, I acted as if nothing was wrong. I kissed her cheek each morning. I asked about her day. I watched her smile, believing she held the reins. Then the day arrived. She stood at the door with a small suitcase. "I'm going away for a bit," she said, her voice wavering slightly. "Please don't be mad." I forced a gentle smile. "I'm not mad, Emma. I just hope you find what you're seeking." She kissed my cheek one final time and left, convinced I'd wait for her. 2 weeks passed. I didn't call or text. She sent a few casual messages at first, then longer ones, almost desperate. I responded once, "Take your time." What she didn't know was that the lawyer had already emailed her the preliminary divorce papers. When she returned, suitcase in hand, expecting her life to be unchanged, her key didn't work. I opened the door halfway, leaning against the frame. Michael, why won't the lock? I changed it, I said. I think it's best we make this permanent. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? Michael, I thought we'd talk. You made your choice, Emma. You tested our marriage and you failed. She tried everything then. Tears, apologies, even anger. You're overreacting. It wasn't an affair, just a break. Don't throw our life away over this. I looked at her, my heart racing but oddly steady. You already threw it away. You just didn't expect me to walk away from the ruins. The divorce wasn't messy in the loud, dish-shattering way. It was precise, calculated. I had the journal. I had her text to Ryan. I had evidence that she left, not me. She lost the house. I kept most of the savings. Ryan vanished the moment she told him about the fallout. She ended up in a small one-bedroom apartment across town, working late shifts to cover her half of the debt she never expected to face alone. Months later, I saw her at the grocery store. She seemed diminished, weary, with shadows under her eyes. Michael, she said, her voice barely audible. Can we talk? I paused, then nodded. We sat in the cafe corner, sipping bitter coffee. I was foolish, she confessed. I thought I was proving something about you, about us. But I only proved I didn't deserve you. I didn't gloat or smile. You broke something that can't be fixed, Emma. Trust. Once it's gone, it's gone. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know. I left the cafe without a backward glance. For a long time, I carried her shadow with me, her laughter in the kitchen, her soft humming in the dark. Betrayal doesn't fade easily. It clings like smoke after a blaze. But eventually, the air clears. I rebuilt my life, step by step, on my terms. New friends, new habits, and maybe one day, someone new who won't need to question my value to see it. Because love isn't a test. It's a decision, one she chose not to honor. Sometimes the deepest betrayal isn't when they leave. It's when they plan to return as if nothing ever broke. Please subscribe to my channel for more stories like this.